Do you believe that President Trump is going to stand by you throughout?
I know he's going to stand by me. He called me this afternoon, said he's standing by me.
We're still covering the battle over Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court, which most people assumed would not be difficult. It has turned out to be very difficult.
Let's check this out.
And it's exposing fault lines and ideas that some of us are not familiar with. We want to get to the bottom of what they are. Christy Setzer is president of New Heights Communications, and she joined.
Just thought you guys, good morning, Patriots. Just thought this is something we needed to hear.
So, Christy, Mazie Hirono said something remarkable. We played it twice on this show. No one else seems amazed by it. She's a sitting U.S. Senator, of course, from Hawaii. And she said that men, all men, are implicated in sexual assault, and women, all women, must be believed because they're women. That seems like an idea that would cut against the Western understanding of justice.
I'm not sure that that's exactly what she said. But I do think that there's something particular about crimes of sexual assault and accusations of sexual assault. And that is that it's the one crime, at least that I can think of, in which the presumption, the burden of proof is on the woman to say that she really is a victim. So last year I had my car stolen. When I reported it, I was not asked, well, what did you do wrong to allow your car to be stolen, right? And that's very different from what happens in sexual assault cases. But you were asked questions like, no, did you leave your keys in the car? I mean, of course you were. Now, sexual assault is a more delicate issue.
That's right.
For obvious reasons.
Yes.
But do you think that our standards of justice change? In other words, is the burden of proof lower?
Yeah.
Do you believe in the idea that a person is innocent until proved guilty? We see lawmakers challenging that idea.
I do, but again, there's something very particular about cases of sexual assault and rape, which is that, for one thing, the vast majority of women never come forward, and there's lots of reasons for this. One is basically about how difficult it is to get to trial or to get to a conviction. Another reason is just all the issues around shame, and then a final reason is some of the things that are playing out with Kavanaugh, which is peculiar issues around memory when we're talking about traumatic events.
So all of that is true, and of course this is a recovered memory, we now know.
Recovered
that
memory,
came out
folks.
in psychotherapy. Doesn't mean it's false. Doesn't mean there are a lot of instances where recovered memory was false and innocent people went to prison. It happened quite...
So it's coming out now. This is recovered memory. I don't know if that's, hypnotism or just, hypnotism or just her therapy sessions, but we're going to find out.
Bit in the 80s around the satanic abuse ritual scares, you know. I'm not saying this is like that, but I am saying it means the rest of us have to ask real questions about it. You seem to be suggesting the standards ought to be different, that we should give her the presumption of honesty.
Yeah.
And that's not how our justice system works, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for you and for your viewers to know the context of it, which is that there's no more instances of false accusations around, say, rape and similar crimes as there is for any other crime. And I think that we. But
I'm not saying. Well, hold on. I'm not saying otherwise. I am saying there is a much higher incidence of false memory in recovered memory cases than in conventional cases. That's true, and it's been looked at extensively by social scientists, and I don't think there's any debate about that. Doesn't mean this is false, but it means that if you want justice, if that's your goal, then you have to ask hard questions. But again, I don't understand. Have we changed the standards or haven't we? We see all these members of Congress saying, he's a man, he's guilty. She's a woman, you must believe for...
Again, no one said that, exactly.
Actually, here's Richard Blumenthal saying, the onus is on him to prove he's innocent.
Right.
Is that how our system works? I thought it was the opposite of how it worked.
Yeah, again, the reason is because he has said it absolutely didn't happen. Fabrication, right? This isn't a criminal trial, but it is something in which he is asking for a very large promotion to the Supreme Court of the United States, right? So you want somebody who has impeccable character, whose motives absolutely cannot be questioned, and he's given us nothing but doubt throughout these confirmation
But hold on, wait.
hearings.
So the principle, leaving Kavanaugh aside, because these are lawmakers. They're the most powerful people in our society. They determine what our laws are by definition.
Sure.
They're saying that the accused has an obligation and has a responsibility to come forward with evidence to rebut the claims. That is, again, precisely the opposite of English common law on which our system is based. No one has ever said that before that I'm aware of in the history of my living history anyway. And you're okay with that?
Yeah, what I think should happen is actually what both Dr. Ford and now Ramirez believe should happen, which is that there should be an FBI investigation.
But hold on, are you?
Right?
But he's saying
An FBI investigation, folks. That is typically out of their jurisdictions, but this is what this lady agrees
Kavanaugh
with.
has a responsibility to come forward with evidence to rebut the charges. Do you or don't you think that's a fair standard?
I do think that, yes, if we're going to have this conversation about whether or not these things happened, and he doesn't want an FBI investigation, which, by the way, he does not, then sure, yes, he's going to have to
Okay, so if I
actually say
accuse
something
you
around
of something with no physical evidence or eyewitnesses, which is what she has done from 36 years ago, and it's a sex crime that would destroy your reputation and hurt your family, you now have a moral obligation or a responsibility, as Senator from Connecticut says, to rebut that? That's what you're saying?
You have an obligation, yes, to defend yourself. Now, again, he has decided that he doesn't want an FBI investigation. That's what the Republican Party has said. And that they also don't want
So you
Mark
want to live
Judd,
in that country where the accused has a responsibility, and if you can't find evidence to disprove the charge, which has no evidence to support it in the first place, then you are presumed guilty.
Is anybody saying that he's going to go to jail? No, they're saying maybe he won't be a Supreme Court justice.
You mean he has two little girls and a wife, and he's being accused of a sex crime by someone who has zero evidence it happened, and multiple witnesses who say it didn't, and you are presumed guilty?
Maybe he won't be a Supreme Court justice, she says. That's like no big deal. I just am curious how he's gotten to this position, sitting number 2 for all these years, but go for number 1, and here it comes. I think they're up to 3 accusations now, 3 different people. I mean, it's getting... The bigger thing is that it came out in, like, therapy. That's just suppressed memory or whatnot.
Is anybody saying that he's going to go to jail? No, they're saying maybe he won't be a Supreme Court justice.
You mean he has
That's
two
okay.
little girls and a wife, and he's being accused of a sex crime by someone who has zero evidence it happened, and multiple witnesses who say it didn't, and now we're saying that this guy has to prove that he's innocent? You really want to live in that country? Honestly, sincere question.
Yeah, no, sincere answer, which is that I think that right now there is a very disproportionate sense of justice for women who have come forward with these crimes. And I think that right now we tend not to believe them. And I think that all that Senator Hirono and others are saying is that maybe sometimes, if we've learned anything from, say, the Me Too movement, it's that these things happen all of the time, and we should believe women.
And so do false claims. I was the subject of one of them, so I can tell you a lot about that if you're interested. Maybe later.
Their
Christy,
smile,
thank you.
smirky.
Thank you, Decker.
Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. This whole situation's unfortunate. Not that we don't want to take, the charge is serious. It does happen. We know that. We're not just trying to say that it doesn't. But you got to take, in this case, we all saw it unfold. You got to take it for what it is. The couple of witnesses they did have, so they don't have any recollection of any of this stuff. So it's kind of down to her versus him. He's saying he don't remember it. That coordinates or lines up with at least the other witnesses. Hers is all on her own. So the burden is on her. And 37 years ago, 36, whatever, 36 plus. We'll see how this unfolds. We'll see how this unfolds. We'll see how how much longer it takes to get him confirmed. Because as you heard, Trump said he will be confirmed. All right, I'm Mike. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you. And we'll see you back here real soon on the next Patriot Hour update.
I think so.
What letter is this?
Q.
Q. This is in